Hello, Tungsten Miner here. I've been getting tired of these stone tools, so I figured I would go ahead and make myself some bronze ones to replace them. And I thought you guys might like to see how that process works. If you've never worked with Tinker's Construct before, it can be a little daunting to get going. So I figured I'd walk through how I got as far as I have, and while this metal is melting and combining, I can show you how that works as well. To start with, you need to set up your Tinker tables. Over here. And there's a whole bunch of different things here. First thing you'll want to make is the stencil table. Not that guy, that guy. And the recipe for a stencil table is very straightforward. In fact, all of the recipes are very straightforward because you're intended to get these things going when you first start out. So most of them are I think all of them in fact are just plain wood blocks of one kind or another. And where you really want to begin is this guy. So as you're first starting the game, get yourself some planks, get yourself some sticks, combine them to get yourself some blank patterns. The blank patterns can then be used to make a whole bunch of different objects. So combine one with some planks and you get a stencil table, combine them with a log and you get a part builder. You'll want to go through all of these different things and figure out, that's interesting, I've never seen that one before. Looks like you can do some very interesting patterns on these. Anyway, you can combine them with various things in order to get yourself a part builder, a stencil table, a pattern chest, tool station, and all of these different tools allow you to do different things. So you can even make yourself a book without leather, kind of a handy thing. And then this Materials in You book is the guide. It has every detail you could want to know about Tinker's Construct. So as soon as you can, go ahead and make yourself one of these books because scanning through this will give you everything you really need to know. So in order to start off with building something, really, you go ahead and get your stencil table together, put some blank patterns on there, and then as you select these different patterns, it will create that new pattern for you. And as I'm kind of flipping through, you can see all the different options that I've got. It doesn't actually use up any of my materials until I pull it off. So I can remove that, put it back, and it's still remembering what that was. You notice I've got all of these ones touching each other, and if you do that, then they form tabs along the top, so it makes your workflow a little bit easier. The one thing is that you must have a crafting station in there somewhere, and this is just a crafting table with a blank pattern on top of it. Having that, though, you go ahead and make your stencils. You can drop those in a pattern chest, and it'll just hold a whole bunch of them, as many as you care to make. And it keeps expanding its inventory, so as I put one in there, it opens up a new spot for the next one. And then in order to make some parts, you get your part builder, you drop on whatever material in here, put your pattern right here, and then it will give you that part. Once you've got your part, you can bring them over to your tool forge or your tool station. The tool forge is an upgraded version of the tool station that can make more tools, but it requires metal to be made, 4 blocks of metal in fact, so not something you're going to be doing straight away as you get your game started. And then you just pick the tool you want, place your parts in there, and then you'll get your item out again. So that's how I've made the stone pickaxe, where I made a stone pickaxe head, and I made a wood binding and a wood handle, and that gives me a pickaxe with these characteristics. And you can see stone pickaxe ecological, which means that it's going to repair damage over time, and that's because I used some wood. Every material has different properties that it will lend to your tool or weapon. So I forget what the difference is between cheap and cheapskate, but one or the other of them means that as the tool gets more damaged, it does more. It works more quickly. So as I wear this thing down, it goes faster and faster until it breaks. Once it has broken, I can just take it, toss it on the tool station here, and then put stone or cobblestone in any of these slots, and it will repair some of the damage. So unlike a vanilla Minecraft tool, you can repair these guys once you've made them, which means it's worthwhile to make some really good ones, because they're not just going to get used up and vanish. You can always get them back again. Okay, so having made these, you notice this is a stone pickaxe. And unfortunately, using the tool forge or any of these things, um, your part builder isn't going to allow you to make any parts out of metal. All metal parts have to be cast. So I can put wood and I can put stone and other similar kind of softer, carvable sorts of materials here. But I can't make any metal parts. But naturally, the metal parts are the ones that you really want because they're the ones that are the most durable. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and just make a book. I was talking about how handy they are, and I actually haven't made myself one yet. So let me go and do that, and we can take a look together at some of the differences here. Got my book, got my pattern, got materials in here. Okay, so looking at this thing, it's got a bunch of different sections. It's actually quite a long book. What I want to look at the moment is tool materials. And all of these different items are possible materials. And you see all the metals are down here at the bottom. This is an immersive engineering set of items that have been added. And as we flip through, you can see the durability of something is 35 when it's made out of wood. Its mining level is stone, so you can only break stones with it. Mining speed is 2, which is not particularly fast, and its attack level is 2. And it's ecological. And you can just hover over these and find out what that means. So renewable resources, so good, they regenerate by themselves. It can repair damage. This is if you're using it for the main head of the weapon or the item. So the pickaxe, the pick part of the pickaxe, or the blade of the shovel, or the blade of the sword, or the hammerhead of the hammer. If you're using it as the binding, then it adds durability and the ecological effect. And if you're using it as the handle, then it has a modifier of taking the overall durability of the tool as you add up all the other parts and multiply by this factor, so a factor of 1 in this case. And it adds durability of 25 itself, and it also adds the ecological effect. So with my stone pickaxe, I have a head of stone, which means durability of 120. It can mine iron, mining speed of 4, so twice as fast as wood. And it's not really meant for attacking, so we don't really do that. Oh, cheapskate, your stone is bad. Your tool has less durability. I don't know exactly how much less durability, but I'm imagining this is a multiple. So that gives my head. The extra is an extra 15 durability, so I'm up to 135, plus I get ecological. My handle is also wood, so multiply everything by 1, plus 25, so I was at 135 before, and that gets me up to 160, and 2 counts of ecological. So that's my stone pickaxe. But if I were to keep wood for my binding and for my handle, but say use all these different options here. I was looking for bronze. If I were to use bronze instead, the durability would be 430 instead of 120. The mining level would be diamond instead of iron. Mining speed is 6.8 instead of 4. Dense, which means it's going to last longer when it has less durability, which I think means that every time you use it, there's a chance that it doesn't take any damage for that use. And as your tool has less durability, the probability of it not taking damage goes up. So I could get another count of dense if I wanted to do my binding with bronze as well. But I could actually go and look through the other materials and try and pick one out that gives me some kind of characteristic that would be beneficial to a pickaxe. The handle, for example, I could get more durability and more, a slightly better modifier by using bronze instead of wood. But I'd get another count of dense, which may not be as valuable to me as ecological, because remember, that's going to cure damage to the tool over time. So I just need to keep it in my inventory, and it will slowly recover, which is actually really darn handy. So I think I kind of want to keep the wooden handles to get that ecological trait. Let's see here. Thermal inversion, what's that? Hitting an enemy in a hot or cold environment will chill or burn them. That's kind of interesting. I don't have any constant 10, but maybe I'd make some. Steel, I don't have the ability to make that yet. Electrum, I could make, but I actually don't have any gold. But that's kind of an interesting characteristic to pick up with that extra piece there. Poisonous, poison enemies upon hit. That could be interesting. This is for a pickaxe, though, so I got to keep in mind that those aren't really useful traits. Well established, cold-blooded, deal increased damage to targets at full health. Lightweight, overall speed of your tool when mining and attacking. Unfortunately, I don't have any cobalt. It's going to be a while before I can get some. Bonus damage, set on fire. Yeah, this is for. No idea what that means. It's slimy. Oh, I think that means that it spawns little slime balls. It's not actually very handy. Unnatural. Mines faster the higher its mining level above the required one. Well, I have no idea where to get night slime from, so never mind that. This will drop bacon periodically. That's kind of cool. I don't want auto smelts. Hitting things attracts nearby things. That's interesting. I wonder if that means it's going to bring items closer to me. That might actually be super handy. Writable. This allows you to add more modifiers. So at the end, there's a whole bunch of different items you can combine with your finished tool in order to silk touch but no damage. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things you can add on there to get additional characteristics. Unhindered by water. That's kind of nice. Prismarine is a little difficult to come by at my stage of the game. Tools damage is increased. Don't really need that right now. Lasts longer most of the time. Blocking deals damage. Bonus damage against unarmored. Honestly, I think the best thing is going to be like 2 counts of ecological for a pickaxe anyway. But you can see the process here. I won't bore you by going through all of it. Well, it looks like it's gotten dark out. Okay, so yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things. It takes some time to go through them all and think through what you want to do. But what I want to do at the moment is just make a pretty darn simple bronze pickaxe. And I think what I will do is add some iron in order to get that magnetic option, because that sounded kind of neat. So we take some iron ore here. Looks like it's getting cold. What did I do? There it is. That tough as nails does get you if you're not paying attention. Oh, I should probably mention, this is from the Wearable Backpacks mod. So you go ahead and make one of these backpacks, and which is some wool, gold, and leather, and that gets you a backpack. If you shift and break the backpack, it winds up on your character's back, and actually everybody can see where it is on your back. So here I am in my tough as nails wool suit with my backpack. And then when you want to put it down, shift and then right-click on a solid surface with an open hand, and it will take off your backpack, and now you can treat it just like a chest and do stuff with it. And then break it to put it back in your back. Anyway, so now I've got over here some bronze. Now, bronze is not one of those metals that comes naturally. You actually have to smelt 2 different kinds of metals together in order to get that. Well, I wasn't able to find it in the book, which is a little bit weird, but what I can do is look at the uses of this thing. And when we melt some copper, we get molten copper. And the use of molten copper is in alloying. You can take melted copper and melted nickel and get constant 10 from them. You can take molten copper 3-to-1 with molten tin and get melted bronze. 1-to-3 copper to aluminum gets you aluminum brass. So you can use different blends of metals in order to get new metals that have completely different characteristics altogether. So copper and tin, both of them make pretty lousy weapons, but bronze actually makes some pretty good weapons. So what I've done is I've taken 3 copper and 1 tin twice and melted them in here so that I've got a bunch of molten bronze. And now, in order to get all of that shaped into tools, I'm going to take these casts, which I've previously created, and toss them down on there, and then touch this guy and pour out some of the metal. Now, depending upon what cast I put in there, it's going to use more or less metal. So I'm going to drop that one in there, pour some metal in, get my pieces out, and I can get rid of these pieces that I've already used. Now I see this hammerhead cast says it requires 8 material. Now the rest of these have been using, I think, 3. So I'm not even sure I've got enough metal in there to be able to do all this. And you notice it also takes a lot longer to fill up. And it's cooling, which also takes a while. Very good. All right. Now, it's almost certain that I have almost nothing left. So let's take a look over here. I have 2 ingots left, and I want to make this, which costs 8, that, which costs 8, and this, which costs 2. So actually, I can do that one right now. Pour that out. And then here, I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and then 1 and 1. That makes sure I get my proportions right, and I'm going to toss all of these in here and make some more bronze. Now, in this version of Tinker's Construct, just because you've tossed in all the ingredients and they've melted doesn't mean you actually got the metal you want. So you can see I've got a layer of tin, and I've got a layer of bronze, and a layer of copper. And as the copper and tin mix together, I slowly get a layer of molten bronze. If you've played with Tinker Construct in previous versions, you'll have seen that it instantly just arrives. They blend together immediately. So this adds another layer of realism in that they do take some time in order to combine fully. There we go. Now, if I had gone ahead and started pouring before I finished, I would have poured off whatever was the bottom layer. I wouldn't have actually poured off the bronze, because that's the top layer. So you really do need to wait in order to get everything out in the right order and to make things of the metals that you expect. Another word of caution, if you are pouring something into one of these casts or into one of these basins, you need to have enough metal to completely fill whatever that is, or you're not going to get the part ever. It'll just simply never finish. And obviously, that's kind of a problem because you've poured probably some substantial amount of metal in there. You just haven't poured quite enough. The best thing to do in that case is to add another batch of that metal and pour it out. It is possible to make molds for ingots, for nuggets, for smaller denominations, so that here's my nugget cast, here's my ingot cast. So now that I've got some metal, well, I guess I don't have any metal left over. I thought I would, but apparently I made exactly as much as I needed. So if I had any metal left over, I could now pour out ingots and nuggets just the same way that I had made these various tools. Okay, so I said that I wanted to have all of the different extra parts be made out of iron so I could try out that magnetic trait. So the first thing I want to make is my pickaxe, which means I need a pickaxe head, I need this binding, and I need a handle. Now I also want to make a shovel, which requires all the same pieces in a different order. I want to make an axe, which requires the same pieces, again, in a different order. So I need 3 of those bindings. I want to make a hammer, and now you see I've got 2 plates to deal with and a handle to deal with, so I need to think through, because now I've got 4 pieces that I could potentially make things out of. Same deal here, and same deal here. And then finally with a sword, I've got the 3 pieces again. So I think I'll make that out of iron, that out of wood, and I've got that out of bronze. So now I need 1 of those, and let's take a look at my patterns here. So a binding pattern costs 1 material, and I want 4 of them, so I need to get 4 iron altogether. And I know that each iron ore is going to give me 2 ingots worth, so I need 2 in order to get up to 4. And I want to make a binding pattern, which I actually don't have in here. So let's pull you out. And this is where things get a little exciting because I need some gold or some aluminum brass in order to make the pattern that I want. And I don't have any aluminum at all, but I do have some gold. Oops, wrong way. It's easy to get lost down here. It's a little bit cavernous. Alright, so we'll toss some gold in there, and I'll show you how to make a cast. So the first thing we need to do is take a nap, because it's getting dark out. Okay, now, when we want to make a cast, we need to start by making a part that we're going to cast over. So, yeah, the binding I know takes 1 material, so I've got myself some wood. I'm going to come over here to my part builder. I'm going to toss the wood in there, and I'm going to find my binding pattern, and head back over to the part builder, drop that in there. And now I get 1 wood binding. And I'll just put that away. Now this gold hopefully will have melted by now, sure enough. So I put the part itself right on the table there, and I pour the molten gold over it. And this is going to burn up that part and destroy it. That's right. I need 2 gold ingots in order to do this. And I only have the 1. So I need to go get some more gold. Which, as I was afraid, I don't actually have enough gold to make a full ingot. So I think I'm going to have to go take a trip and find some more gold. So I will be back shortly after I have done that. Okay, back again, and you know, I had absolutely no luck finding gold. Fortunately, the way the origin works in this mod pack, I use Railcraft's poor gold ore as an indicator that you're in the right neighborhood, and so it'll be scattered all throughout the altitude level and biome combinations where you could expect to find a certain kind of deposit. Now, the deposits themselves are, by intention, pretty rare, and they're very large when you find them, but they are pretty rare, so finding them is not exactly easy. However, I did run across a bunch of the poor gold ore, which told me I was in the right place to find one. I just didn't actually find it. So, I only needed 1 more ingot, so I can just toss that in there, and each of these is going to give me 1 nugget's worth, which means, of course, 9 of them will give me a full ingot's worth. And that should give me enough to be able to finish off this casting. Okay, it's melted. Pour in. In older versions of this mod, you only needed 1 ingot's worth for a cast, which is the source of my confusion. Okay, so here we can see that the part that was there has been destroyed, and now I've got this gold cast for a binding. Now, if we recall, what I was attempting to do before I got interrupted was to make some iron pieces for the middles of my tools, and I needed to melt down 2 of those. Now the smeltery, of course, the smeltery, of course, can melt down ingots, it can melt down boots, it can melt down all sorts of stuff. That's curious. I still have an ingot's worth in there. Huh. Alright, well, let's pour it out. Oh, that's right. It doubles the ore, right? So each of those, when smelted in a furnace, would give you 1 nugget, but when put through the smeltery, since it doubles everything, it's going to give you 2, which is just as well, because that's what I really needed. Alright, let's let these melt now. Actually, while these are melting, one thing I didn't mention is obviously in my inventory, I no longer have all those parts that I had formerly created. What I did with them was to use the part chest to stow them away, because I don't need them anymore. And so I'm just going to yank them all out again. And this works very much the same way that the stencil chest works, which of course means that I can keep as many parts as I want. And here's a couple of parts that I made previously that I kind of made by accident. So I didn't know what else to do with them, so I tossed them in there. All right, so let's see here. I want my binding back in there. And we've got some molten iron. So I will pour it out. Now, if I hadn't been able to find gold, it is possible to make clay casts. If we look at molten clay, the recipe is just take any regular clay, toss it in here, melt it down. Now you've got molten clay, and then what you can do with this is pour it on top of any object, just like we just did to make the binding cast, and it will make you a clay cast of whatever it was you just tossed in there. And if I remember correctly, the clay casts are only good for one casting and then they break. So that would have been a reasonable option if I weren't able to find something to make a more permanent cast, which obviously these ones you can use over and over again. So toss that in there. Now I've got my bindings, which means I've got enough pieces to build almost all of the things that I need. The only thing I need now is to get wood for my handles. So I'll just grab some jungle wood and use that. Back to my part builder, toss my part in there. I want to make some tool rods. And I want 4 of these tool rods. Now I've got all the parts I need. I will go back to my tool forge, making one of these. I toss that in there, I toss that in there, I toss that in there. And now I get my bronze pickaxe, which is ecological, dense, and magnetic. And now I can switch to the shovel, toss my shovel part in there. Switch to my axe, toss my axe head in there. And actually I made a mistake, didn't I? Because this needs, if I want to make a sword, where's the sword? That needs to be a different part. That needs to be that part there. And it's not. Fortunately, you can always take any excess parts, any excess metal parts that is, and melt them back down again to get what you need. Unfortunately, I should take that out. I don't think I have the cast I need for that cross piece. No, I don't. So I need to make that too. So first we'll go over here and we'll swap this guy out for that guy. And looks like I'm going to need 2 more ingots worth of gold. So let me see if I found enough to do that. And sure enough, I did. So we'll take this 4 gold ore and melt it down. Toss that in there. And then we'll make another cast. Yeah, no, I really don't have one. Okay. Melted. Come back over here. And it burns it right up, but that's fine. Toss this extra guy in here and let him melt. Now, you can melt parts, but you can't melt whole pieces of equipment. So I couldn't toss one of these in here and expect it to melt down. I could toss it in there and it'll tell me, in fact, item can't be molten. So you can only do this with things that are of a pure metal. Now, this also counts for other things like boots and chest plates and armor pieces in general. I think you can toss vanilla Minecraft tools in there and that will work just fine. So experiment a bit to see what you can do. And of course, it'll always tell you if you can't do any particular item. But if you've got something that you think is pure metal, then it probably will work. Okay, now I was trying to make a sword. Toss my blade in there, toss my crosspiece in there, and now I've got my sword. Okay, so I've remade all of my basic weapons, and the next step, of course, is to go ahead and make these other larger tools. So here I need 2 plates and a handle. Here I need a handle. And here I need a handle. So let's take care of the handles first. Back over to the part builder. I'm going to take this guy, put him back, find my tough tool rod, throw him in there, and 1, 2, 3 of those. Toss that in there. Tool station, where's my tool forge? Oh, interesting, that tab was not being displayed. Anyway, so now I can toss him in there. Now these 2 plates, I need to think about what material I want to make them out of. So I'm going to go grab my book and take a look at that and make some decisions. Be right back. Okay, I think I've made my choices. I'm going to go with 1 stone and 1 iron piece for each of these. So 1 stone and 1 iron plate for the hammer here. And I think I'll probably go iron and stone here, and probably iron and stone there. So let's get to work. Gonna need to make some stone heavy bindings. 1, 2 of those. I'm gonna need 1 stone plate. Those. And I'm going to need an iron plate, 3 iron plates. So let's toss some iron in here, and problem. I don't have any way to make an iron plate. And I don't have any more gold, so I'd have to go find some more, or I could make a clay cast, which is maybe the better thing to do. So I'm going to yank the iron out of there, and go get myself some clay. Well, it looks like I need to find clay, too. Alright, maybe the better thing to do that is make them out of obsidian. So I'm going to add a diamond to this pickaxe. So I'll take these pieces off. And here on the tool forge you can add items. And there's a whole variety of things you can add that change the characteristics. So for example, durability 505, mining level diamond, mining speed 6.8. If I toss this on here, you can see all of these have increased quite nicely. Increased durability. So now, 500 more durability, or double the durability on this pickaxe. It can now mine obsidian, which is in particular what I was looking to be able to do. And it's gotten a bit faster and a bit more attack damage. In fact, this is almost as strong as my stone sword. It's stronger than my stone sword. And I've got 2 modifiers left, right? So that means I can take some of these special items and add 2 more of them on there. So we'll get to that in a bit, but in the meantime, I need to go find some obsidian. So I'm going to go run off and do that, and be right back. Okay, back again. I finally have the last of the obsidian I was looking for. And let's just make that last piece here. Now we've got a large obsidian plate. Grab the other parts, oops, already here, that I need. Toss that on there, and now I've got my obsidian axe. So that's taken me through upgrading all of my equipment. Put some of it away over here, but we can see. Oh, I guess I didn't put any of it away. I thought I did. Anyway, sword, pick, shovel, axe, lumber axe, hammer, and excavator. All of which now have considerably more strength and durability than what I had originally given them. And that's how you do it with Tinker's Construct. All the way from making of new casts to pouring metals, mixing alloys, all the good stuff that you can do to get some really fine equipment. Anyway, I think I will close this one off here, and next time we will get back to progress on the house. Talk to you later.